I recently raced a 70.3 and damn did I have a great time. It didn't all go to plan. But one of the things which did go very well was carbohydrate loading. And in this video, I wanted to go through what I ate, why, and talk you through how you can do something similar in your own race. And if you're new here, then hey, my name's James and I'm a registered sports and exercise nutritionist. I work with amateur and pro triathletes to help them take the guesswork out of nutrition so they can train, recover, and race faster. Alright, so why would you even carb load in the first place? Well, the way to think about this is that you want to start the race with a fuel tank that is as near 100% as possible. Carb loading lets you do that because the aim is to maximize your body's stored form of carbohydrate, glycogen. By eating a specific amount of carbohydrates, you top up these stores, meaning the chance of running out of glycogen during the race is lower. And this directly helps with improving performance. At the end of this video, I'll run through my main tips for carb loading. But for now, let's jump into my Chronometer, which is the app I use to track my food intake. So this day of carbs and then more carbs started at about 7:30 in the morning when I had a couple of gluten-free rolls with maple syrup and a Morton bar. So I'll go through this later on. But no, I don't have celiac disease and I don't have to avoid gluten, but I do avoid wheat during the carb loading period. And man, do I love these Morton bars. They're probably my favorite sports nutrition product. I just really enjoy them in the morning with an espresso before my training. Slight tangent, but they are so good. Then between the time of my first snack, pre-breakfast meal, I had a Lucozade, and liquids are great for carb loading, liquids with carbohydrates, just because it's a really simple, easy way to get carbohydrates in without adding too much bulk or feeling like you're trying to just cram in more food. It's something that I've done more and more with clients when I've worked with them over the last couple of years, is just putting more liquid carbohydrates in and just reducing that bulk. And it really lets them feel much better during the carb loading period, not super full or bloated. And that's a win all round because they feel better and you get more carbs in. Then it was time for my main breakfast, if you can call it that. So it was Frosties and some lactose-free milk. Not particularly exciting, but it's just so easy to get the carbs in. So by this point of the morning, so this was 9:30, between these two things, I'd had about 200 grams of carbohydrates, and I was well on my way to my goal. I had to go and register for my triathlon. So on the way there, I had a Morton drink mix and half a bag of Haribo squashies. I had these in my cupboard and I just went with them. And it turns out these are super bloody tasty and really easy to just get in. There are loads of different ones you could choose from, and really the goal here, and I will probably repeat myself, is to go for low fiber, low fat, and kind of low moderate protein intake in this carb loading period. So these confectionery sort of sweets, you could have like wine gums, other Haribo things. I mean, you can even buy the kind of 90 pence, £1 sweets as well that they are basically just sugar, and it is just such a simple way to get loads of carbs in, and would definitely recommend it. But when we look at my totals for the day later on, you'll see that I'm not having much fat in this day at all, and I'm not super high on the protein, having a reasonable amount with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then that is kind of it. So if we go to lunch was gnocchi, tofu, and some tomato passata, and another Lucozade. So I took this with me to the registration for my triathlon, and sat and just had it then because it fitted time-wise. So it was just really super simple, smashing in the carbs and a relatively lean protein source and minimal fat and fiber. And this is another point which I would definitely recommend. If you know you have to go and register, you're going to be out and about, you have to take your food or your snacks with you. Otherwise, you will just miss an eating opportunity. And then that is going to mean that your overall carbohydrate intake is
going to be lower over the day. So it's one of the most common reasons why triathletes that I work with have failed carb load properly in the past. So make stuff in advance and take it with you. And another thing to mention is that I have tofu because I don't eat meat. So what I'm doing is just trying to find a protein source which is easy to digest and, as I say, relatively lean, and tofu fits the bill perfectly here. Next in the afternoon, and this might surprise you, was more Frosted Flakes. So Frosties with some more lactose-free milk. And I also had another Morton 320 drink mix. The whole concept with this, again, it's just so easy to get all of this in. It just doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like I'm struggling or forcing food in. It's just like I have a big bowl of Frosties and I'm just like, oh, I've just eaten 100 grams of carbohydrates or whatever it is. And the same with the Morton drink mix. I would normally drink a couple of liters over the course of the day anyway. And if I'm just having 80 grams of carbs in it, I just don't even notice that. So it's just like, whoop, gone. So then it was on to dinner, which was rice and fish. So I just went with a plain fillet of fish and white rice. And I actually had some tomato passata again, so I forgot to put this in. But just really simple. No veggies, because veggies are bad during carb loading. Really good at any other point. But they're just not useful in this context. They're just adding fiber, they're adding bulk, and they can potentially impact your race day nutrition as well. Your race day risk of tummy symptoms. So I just avoid them. So yes, it does mean that it is a little boring and bland, and this is not the sort of diet you'd be following on a daily basis, if we're talking about kind of healthy, balanced diet. But going into a race, this is the sort of diet that you should be following if you want to race as well as possible without stomach problems. I can't tell you how many triathletes that I've worked with who have had stomach problems during Olympic distance races, 70.3s, and full distance Ironman races, who have then followed my plans and these sort of changes to their carb loading period and what they're eating in the days before their race. And they have completely revolutionized their racing. They've done it without any stomach problems, and they've actually felt like they have raced. And honestly, it's such a massive change that I can't recommend this sort of approach enough. So that's it, a full day of carb loading here. And as you can see, I ended up around 830 grams of carbohydrates, 90 grams of protein, and 33 grams of fat. And actually, if we come down here, 18 grams of fiber as well. So these are some really strong numbers from a carb loading point of view. It's kind of hitting all of the right goals. When you're carb loading, you want to aim between 8 to 12 grams of carbohydrates per kilo of body weight. I'm about 70 kilos, so this worked out as just under 12 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight, which is at the upper end of the recommended guidance. But I tolerated this super well, and I was actually hungry at the end of the day, which is perfect because it means it's just been digested so well, so easy. Your body's kind of saying like, what else have you got for me? That's where you want to be. And come race day, I had zero stomach issues. I raced really well, and that was the best outcome that I could have had. By the way, you can also use this calorie tracking app yourself called Chronometer. It does have a free version. I'll put a link in the description and comment section of this video so you can try it out. I've used various different ones over the years, but this one is my favorite. It's the one that I use for working one-on-one with my clients, and it's the one that I would recommend above any others.
So one of the things that you will have seen was that I had gluten-free rolls, and I mentioned I avoid wheat in the carb loading period. This is because I have a notoriously tricky stomach when it comes to exercise, particularly running. Back in the days, I had races completely ruined by stomach issues on the run, and I wanted to fix that. So some time ago, I started looking into low FODMAP diets and the potential link between higher FODMAP foods and gastro symptoms during exercise. And I figured it was worth trying to remove these FODMAP foods in the day before a race. FODMAP stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. A bit of a mouthful, meaning certain types of carbohydrates found in different plant-based foods that are typically harder to digest. And in certain individuals, these can contribute to bad gastro symptoms in normal daily life or during exercise. Now in normal daily life, I'm fine with them. But since cutting them out before races, it feels so much better. This is a list of high FODMAP foods, and I try to avoid these in the 3 days before my race. One of the most overlooked areas of 70.3 prep is carb loading, and people get it so wrong. Plenty of triathletes think a big bowl of pasta the night before is enough, and my word, this is so far out. To truly top up your glycogen stores, you need 36 to 48 hours of structured, high carb eating. So that's 8 to 12 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight per 24-hour period. That is a lot more than most people realize. And without fail, every time I talk to clients about this, they are surprised by just how much food they need to get down them. So my main bits of advice on how to make carb loading work are: first, start 36 to 48 hours out. Second, prioritize low fiber and low fat foods, aiming for leaner sources of protein over the day, but don't worry about a good protein source in every meal. Third, front load calories earlier in the day. It is so much easier to do this, and it means you aren't super full in the evening. Fourth, keep training light or skip it altogether. Damaged muscles don't store glycogen as well, and the hard work is already done. Fifth, stay hydrated. Ideally, some sodium in your fluids. And lastly, follow a plan. Do like I've done in this video. Most failed carb loads happen because triathletes wing it. If you do that, you'll miss your target and risk the good old bonk on race day. If you want a professional plan made for you by me that covers preferences, allergies, what products you'd like to use, and all of the intricate details, you get this included as part of a membership to the Hub, my nutrition membership for triathletes. I'll help you nail all your race day fueling, as well as your nutrition for daily life and training, as well as so much more. If you're interested in joining, link is in the description and comment section of this video. Now, carb loading is just one part of a successful race. You also need to know how to fuel during a 70.3 so that you don't bonk and run out of energy. And I go through a full plan for you in this video here.